One morning, Duncan was excited about what he is going to do today when the Fat Controller came to see him and said, "A new engine has arrived. His name is Salty. And I told him that you'll be coming in 1 minute." "Okay, sir," said Duncan. And then Duncan puffed away. He was excited. He found Salty, and there he is. "You must be Duncan," said Salty. "And you must be Salty," said Duncan. "Good to meet you," he said. "Good to meet you too," said Duncan. But Duncan was a little bit shy. Just then the Fat Controller came in and said, You're going to work with Salty," he said. "He still has much to learn, as much as you do," he said. "Yes, sir," said Duncan. Then Duncan puffed away with Salty. Just then, Duncan arrived at the quarry mine, and there was Kevin. "Hi, Duncan," said Kevin. "Hi, Salty," said Duncan. Just then, Salty came in. "Hello," said Salty. "What's your name?" "I'm Kevin," said Kevin. "Good to meet you, Salty." But just then, Salty said this to Duncan. "I want to be with you." But Duncan didn't think so. He hated Salty. "I don't think so," grumbled Duncan. "I want to be with Toby," he said. And so Duncan puffed grumpily away. Kevin was disappointed. "Duncan, wait," said Kevin. "The trucks." "Fine," said Duncan. And Duncan puffed grumpily away. "Don't worry, Salty," said Kevin. "He's just a grump." "I want him to smile," smiled Salty. And Salty puffed away. Except Duncan. He didn't like Salty at all. "Hey, Duncan," said Flora. "How's the new engine?" "Oh, I hate him," said Duncan. He likes me, but I don't. I want to be with Toby." "Well, I always like being with Toby as well," said Flora, "as much as you do." "Really?" said Duncan. "I like being with Toby as well, because he and I came to this railway at the same first day. As much as some engine did," he said. "Like Mike and Derek," said Flora. "Really?" said Duncan. "Yes, really," said Flora. "I better have my rest. So long with the new engine," said Flora, and Flora rolled away, except Duncan. Just then, Murdoch said this to Duncan. "Behind you!" But Duncan didn't listen. "Salty's behind you," said Murdoch. But Duncan realised it. It was Salty. "I'm gonna run," said Duncan, and ran away. "Wait, come back," said Salty. But Duncan didn't come back. He did not like Salty at all, so he ran away from him. "Duncan, come back," said Salty. But Duncan ignored Salty and ran away from him. Salty wanted Duncan to be with him, and so Duncan ran away from him. He did not like Salty at all. Just then, he raced through the main line, and just then he raced he raced past by Toby, and Flora, and Molly, and Murdoch, and Victor, who laughed at him, and Victor, who still laughed at, and Victor, and they all still laughed at him because of Salty. "It's not funny," said Duncan. "I want to be with Toby," he said, and he ran away. He did not want to get used to it at all. Later, Duncan was far away from Salty and was glad to run away from him. "No one will laugh at me anymore," he said. Just then, he was feeling sad. Kevin and Kevin felt sorry for Duncan. "What's the matter, Duncan?" he said. "The engines were laughing at me because of Salty. I don't believe them." "Of course I do believe you, Duncan," said Kevin. And there was Emily, feeling angry because of his trucks. "What's going on?" said Duncan. I am trying to get back to the shed's home for tea," he said. "But I can't go past because of those trucks of yours," he said. "Flatten my funnels," he said. "Don't worry," he said. I'll... "What?" said Emily. I'll be back," he said, and he popped away to find Salty. When he arrived, he realized that he heard that Salty was behind him. "Hello, Duncan," he said. "What's up?" "Emily needs our help, so we have to help her." "So I'm sorry I ran away from you," he said. "It's just that I don't want to get used to you." "Of course, Duncan," he said. "Come on, let's help her." And so the two engines helped one another and was ready to push the trucks. They pushed and pushed. They pulled and pulled, as at last Molly said thank you to the two engines and went past by on her way. And they did really well, what they really did. And the trucks were out of the way. The Fat Controller spoke to Duncan and Salty and said, "You two were a very great team. Well done," he said. Duncan and Salty smiled. They liked one another and everyone enjoyed Duncan's smiley face. And without Salty's help, Emily could not make it back to the sheds in time. And they see Salty was the only engine who finally made Duncan smile because of the help of what they did with Emily.